We are live.
Hi guys.
Hello all, welcome to the Speed Mooting Partners in Crime podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Hayley.
And we are the Speed Mooting team.
Indeed we are.
So if you've listened before, welcome back. If you're new to the podcast,
welcome.
Take your coat off, sit down and strap in for the ride. What we do on this podcast, we talk about all things law, all things linked to law, and things that have got absolutely nothing to do with the law.
Sorry about that, guys.
Apologies about that. And that's where we're going to start today. As we do every single episode, we need to name the episode. So we're up to episode 69.
Okay.
Now, believe it or not, we haven't had a Formula One number for a while. So I still think that 77's our next episode with a number. This one, though, is MotoGP. We've done one MotoGP episode before.
Is that racing we went to watch one time? No. With the cars?
No. MotoGP is motorbikes.
Oh.
Yeah. So prototype. It's the Formula One of motorbikes.
Right. Okay.
So it's prototype motorbike racing. So episode 43 was obviously Valentino Rossi, the doctor.
Okay.
He's your Michael Schumacher of motorbikes.
Got it.
Actually, I might have even mentioned it on the episode. You know, there was always rumours about him jumping across to Formula One. He tested with Ferrari, and he wasn't that far off their lap times. And he did a car/bike swap with Hamilton a few years ago. This guy, you probably won't know him because I'm guessing you don't know many.
Well, I didn't even know what the sport was until about 2 minutes ago, so...
Yeah. Well, anyway, he famously had number 69. So he won the MotoGP World Championship in 2006. His nickname, the Kentucky Kid. Unfortunately passed away in 2017. And his number was retired in honour of him.
Okay.
69. So it's Nicky Hayden.
Nicky Hayden. You guys listening? Did you get that? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, I haven't watched the MotoGP race in years, but when I was younger, you know, I watched a few races with my dad, and that's how I always remember those, you know, the people from that sort of time period.
I was just going to say, your dad used to do motorbike racing, didn't he?
Yeah, so we used to have it on the TV occasionally when we were younger. So that's that one, but we've also got, you know, there's obviously wrestling linked things for number 69 as well.
Oh.
So we've got two more very quickly, and then we'll jump straight into the episode.
Okay.
So the first one, these guys were from the Attitude Era, which is probably the best time in wrestling, late 90s through to the early 2000s.
That's when The Undertaker and all the Rock.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mankind. It was a different time. It was when it was good.
Okay.
You know, people my age were hanging on to the Attitude Era. You know, we kind of put it on a pedestal. But yeah. Anyway, so this was a group, or a stable as you'd call them, and it consisted of, so your main two people, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and then later they added Billy Gunn, the Road Dogg, and X-Pac. Okay. Are you going to know the name of these people?
I haven't got a clue what you're talking about, John.
All right. So they were a group, and they walked around with 69 on their shirts.
Okay.
They also had a saying, and you know, people my age would go around school doing this.
Go on.
Well, repeat it on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
X-rated.
Yeah, ish. No, I don't know. But yeah, everyone used to do it at the time. Go on YouTube, search for this group, and you'll see what they used to do.
You know, this isn't like a child's podcast.
Okay, so it was a crotch chop, and you'd shout, "Suck it."
Okay. That's okay. That can get through the watershed, I'm sure.
We can do that, can we? Yeah. And so that was their catchphrase. Anyway, the name of the team, D Generation X.
The thousands here in attendance tonight, and for the millions watching at home on TV. Oh, let's get ready to suck it!
Boom.
A little bit of B-roll of the X here at this point, maybe.
Okay, if we can find some. Are they really famous?
Are they famous, Hayley? They are, like, you know, they define the Attitude Era. They yeah.
Got it.
It's Triple H, you know, the man runs WWE now.
Oh, it's Triple H?
Well, Triple H was in D Generation X. That's what I'm saying. It's a team that consisted of.
Oh, okay. I'm following.
And then one other. So this guy was in professional wrestling. Only stayed for a couple of years, and then he gave it up to go and give American football a try. So he got into the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know whether he ever actually played a game or not, but had number 69 on his shirt. Once again, he's that kind of guy. So to give you some hints about this guy, so he left it. He, before coming back to wrestling, went to the UFC, became the UFC heavyweight champion, and then eventually came back to the WWE. He was managed by none other than Paul Heyman, who we've talked about a few times on this podcast.
I don't know. John Cena?
No, but he had a big rivalry. Believe it or not, I've actually seen him wrestle against John Cena live.
Wow.
No,
I give up.
No, give up. All right, well, we're going to cut to B-roll because there's only one man that can give this man the introduction he deserves, and that's Paul Heyman. So we're going to cut to a B-roll of Paul Heyman introducing this chap.
My name is Paul Heyman. Tonight, fighting out of the Conqueror's Corner, the reigning, defending, undisputed Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar!
So yeah, as you heard, it was Brock Lesnar.
Oh, I actually have heard of that. I know that name.
Yeah, of course you have, yeah. So amateur wrestler beforehand. So believe it or not, it was Kurt Angle last week, wasn't it, we were talking about?
Mm-hmm.
He was an amateur wrestler beforehand, Brock Lesnar this week. Two guys in another lifetime could have been in MMA instead of wrestling, and who knows, but yeah. So welcome to episode 69, Brock Lesnar, D-Generation X, and Nikki Hayden special.
Welcome.
So, let's jump straight in. Where are we starting this week, Hayley?
So I think we are going to start with a Learning the Law segment, John.
Okay.
So once again, if you are new to this podcast, this is a segment where we talk about a piece of law, a piece of advocacy, case law, topics, anything that might seem complex at first glance if you don't understand it or know it. And we break it down and we simplify the law for you.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to take this one away for us, John.
I certainly am. So this week, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about civil law.
Ooh.
So normally you hear me talking about criminal law. This week we're doing a bit of a civil special.
Okay.
Because for those who don't know, when I was a paralegal, I used to work in personal injury. And it was a massive industry back in the day. I don't know if it's still as big as it once was.
I think it is still.
I still think it's up there. It's not what it was in its heyday, but still plenty of work there. And so I worked in ELPL, so employers liability and public liability. So a big chunk of my work was slippers and trippers, so people who fall in the streets in public, pretty much. So you probably heard all the. You don't hear them as much now, but you probably heard all the adverts back in the day.
If you've been injured in a place that wasn't your fault.
Yeah. Do you ever remember there was the local adverts on the radio? Slip, trip, or fall. Call Paul.
Oh yeah. Brilliant.
So so that's the kind of stuff I used to do, and a fairly common type of case was people who slipped or tripped in public, so normally on the highway. So think about if you're walking down a pavement and they've got regular paving flags, and over time you'll see your paving flags go like this, and one of them will start to raise. So what would happen is if someone tripped, injured themselves, they'd then bring a case against the local authority, and they go through a claimant solicitor's firm like who I worked for.
Yeah.
So
just made me laugh just before you get into it. The reason that we thought of this segment is because I actually tripped over a paving flag, didn't I, the other day? I didn't fall. John caught me, luckily.
Yeah.
But we started talking about it, the act that governs all this area of law. And we were like, this should be a podcast segment.
Yeah, let's chat about it.
Like so many of the random things we talk about just come to us in everyday life. So you're welcome.
You are very welcome. Hayley tripped for your entertainment.
Yes.
So classic example, someone walking down the pavement, one of the pavement flags are raised, because they've just worn away over time or, whatever, just general wear and tear. And then they'll bring a claim against the local authority. So normally the local council. So where your authority comes from to bring that claim, well, let's take it even a step further back. This is a tortious claim. This is a claim in tort law. Do you remember the 3 stages you need to establish, Hayley, to bring a claim in tort?
So, it's been a long time, John.
Yeah.
Unlike you, I didn't practice in any area of law that was related to this, so I'm trying to think back to uni days. Did I even do this on the LPC? I don't think I did.
Probably not on the LPC, no.
But it's in the was it the wagon wheel case or something? Was like one of the leading cases about it.
Possibly. I can't remember. I just remember what I just remember your 3 stages.
All right.
To establish.
All right.
I can't remember.
So I know causation was one of them.
Yeah.
Where's that in the?
That's the last.
That's the last one. Duty of care.
Yeah.
Duty of care. Duty of care. Breach of duty.
Yeah.
Causation.
Yeah, exactly. So you 3 stages test. So you need to show your duty of care, breach, causation. Okay.
Shout out to Tim, our taught teacher. I still remember it. After some heavy thinking, I got there.
So back to fundamentals. That's what we need to show. So in this one, so duty of care. Well, the council owes a duty of care to the people who are using its highways. And then your breach. Well, where that comes from is Section 41 of the Highways Act 1980. It says, I won't read the full act, but it says the authority who are for the time being the highway authority for a highway maintainable at the public expense are under a duty subject to subsections 2 and 4 to maintain the highway. So of course, if it's not been maintained, that's where you'll say your breach has come from. And then causation, obviously you need to show the causal link between the highway not being maintained properly and your accident and then your subsequent injury, etc.
Yeah.
So Section 41 of your Highways Act is where your duty and the breach, etc. comes from. Now, in a lot of these cases, well, firstly, what have we got to show? Well, we've got to show that the pavement flag is damaged in a significant way, or usually if they've been raised. So as a general rule, I think we used to say about the size of a 50p coin is what you needed before it was actionable. Okay, in terms of the height.
Yeah.
Now, local authorities would often run defences on these, and the defence comes from Section 58 of exactly the same act.
The Highways Act.
The Highways Act. And what your Section 58 said is effectively they need, so the local authority or the council need to prove that they've taken such care as is reasonable in all the circumstances to ensure that that part of the highway is not dangerous. So the way in which they do that is through regular checks. So each section of the highway needs to be checked on a regular schedule. So if you are in, let's say, a city centre, somewhere that's very busy,
Yeah.
something that's reasonable will probably be once a month, just because of how often it's being walked on. If you're in just a general part of the city, not part of the city centre, as a general rule, once a year is normally sufficient. So what would happen is, you'd go through the litigation process, and of course you've talked through litigation, so we won't go through all that again. But as part of your disclosure, the local authority, through their solicitors, insurance, whoever, would provide you with their records, so their records of how often they were checking that particular area. And what you do is you'd have to go through that. So let's say your client is, you're the claimant solicitor, your client's tripped over, you'd know what date that is, you're then looking back to when they've last done their checks.
Yep.
If that accident or incident has occurred within, let's say it's not the city centre, let's say it's occurred within 12 months of the last check, well, they've got the defence, they've done everything that's reasonable. Okay. Unless, of course, it was brought to their attention, they've had multiple, somebody's told them about something that's actionable and that's dangerous, I change the duty. But of course, if nothing's been brought to the attention of the local authority, accident happens within 12 months, there's a full defence.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was interesting. So we used to get claims in various parts of the country because we were a national firm, and it was interesting seeing how there were certain parts of the country where the local authorities were absolutely nailed on with this. They had very, very tight procedures, and you just never win cases in certain parts because the local authorities
they never dropped the ball.
They never dropped the ball. And then there were other parts of the country or the local authorities where, for whatever reason, things would be missed and, you would win cases there. So it was always interesting to see the differences in different parts of the countries. Don't ask me which one, it was over a decade ago when it
I was going to say, you're going to name and shame them now.
I mean, even if I could remember, I wouldn't name and shame. But the reality is, it's that long since I've done it. I can't remember who was good, who was not. But yeah, so that's, I just thought to talk about that because, it's certainly an area that was very popular when I was a paralegal. There was so much work in EL, PL type work.
Yeah.
So this is your public liability of the PL. But yeah, so it's still going. It's something that people could end up in, and it's interesting because you spend a lot of time reviewing records, reviewing medical records. So I found it dead interesting doing that type of work. And
Yeah, it sounds like it would be quite fulfilling, that type of
yeah,
work.
and we even had a few trials on cases like that, and I remember going and sitting behind counsel at trial as well. So yeah, so it was pretty interesting. So just thought I'd do something different this week and talk about civil law.
Absolutely. And if anyone is listening and you are an ELPL,
Yeah.
if you are an ELPL lawyer, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Does that type of work still go on? Is it still as popular as it once was? Or what's taking up the majority of your practice now?
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, because, I'm talking about how, the practice worked when I was in it. It might be that there have been changes in practice or procedure, so let us know.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
So we're just going to do a little bit of a segment now about speed mooting, about what we've got coming up, because we've got a lot coming up and we've launched a couple new events, and I can't remember if we talked about them all last week or
Don't
not.
think we did.
So we're going to talk about them this week.
Okay.
So should we do it in chronological order?
That seems logical to me, Hayley.
So coming up first, we have some more speed mentoring for you all.
Ooh.
So if you've been following us for a while, you might recall we did some pupillage mentoring back in January.
I think it was, yeah.
So that was to coincide with the pupillage application window that was happening around that time. So we had a number of pupil barrister mentors, and we paired them up with mentees online on Zoom. So everyone got a 15-minute one-on-one mentoring session with someone that was linked to their area of interest. And it was so popular, when we launched this event, it crashed our website within 20 minutes.
Not even that, though.
Not even that. And when we got everything back up, everyone who got to it in the first 10, 20 minutes, or however long it was, took every single space.
Yeah.
And there was a huge reserve list and a demand for more speed mentoring. So we now bring this back regularly for you all.
Yeah.
And it's coming up on the 6th and 7th of August. So it's coming around very quickly.
Yeah.
These next mentoring evenings aren't linked to pupillage. So we've got one for aspiring solicitors, that's the 6th of August, and one for aspiring barristers, that's the 7th of August. So we've widened the net because, of course, aspiring solicitors, we need some guidance as well. I certainly could have used it when I was an aspiring solicitor way back when. So, yep, if you want to sign up and get on the list to potentially get a space, head over to our website, speedmooting.com, and you'll find it there in the events page.
Yeah.
We learned our lesson from the January pupillage mentoring we did. So how it runs now, you register and that puts you on the list to potentially get a slot. We are very busy working behind the scenes now to get as many pupil barristers, solicitors and trainee solicitors on the books for you as we possibly can. We've got a good bunch already, but we're hoping to get more. And a week, 2 weeks, haven't firmed up the date yet, but before the event, we're basically going to draw out people completely at random to give the spaces away, depending on how many we have, depends on how many mentees we can invite. So, yeah, it's going to be another great 2-part event. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. September is next.
What have we got in September?
September's a busy one. So we've got the National Speed Mooting Competition Autumn Cup on the 13th of September.
Yep.
Sponsored by BPP, taking place at BPP. We have literally just filled 75% of the competition. We only launched about a week or 2 weeks ago, didn't we? So
we haven't done much promotion on it either,
done
but
basically
people
no
are just
promotion.
finding it completely organically and signing up.
yeah, I think so. I think probably our nice new shiny website is helping as well.
I think so.
But yeah, so yeah, lots of places have gone already for that. So over 75% of the places. So I think if you want to take part, be quick.
Do you want to tell people what it is in case they don't know?
Do I? So, National Speed Mooting Competition. So it's a speed mooting competition. So the idea being You enter on your own. You don't need to worry about a teammate. Submissions are limited, 7 minutes in each round. You get the bundle the night before, like being in practice. You don't have to do any research or any drafting because the bundle includes pre-drafted skeleton arguments and all the case law you can rely upon. And there's only a handful of cases anyway you can rely upon. Then what you do is you'll prepare for both sides, and because the bundle's not big, it's not too onerous to do that. On the day of the competition, obviously we're in a big university, so we'll have our 128 entrants there, and there'll be up to 7 rounds for the winner. So you go through, you'll do a moot one-on-one, you'll find out each round who you're acting for. It's going to be as random as it possibly can be, and you'll hopefully progress through the rounds. You'll be judged by barristers, solicitors and lecturers, so we've got a really good range of judges there, and the judges also give you feedback on your performance and your advocacy as well. Now, on the day we do other things as well to make the day as valuable as possible as we can. So we give you your lunch, you get refreshments, you get access to an advocacy workshop. So I'll deliver an advocacy workshop on the day. There will also be a Q&A with practitioners as well, so you'll get to hear about life and practice. So it's going to be a really good day, and if you make it all the way to the end, i.e. you're still there, whether you're in the competition or not, we'll be going to a local pub for a few scoops, so you can join us for a drink, alcoholic or non-alcoholic of your choice.
That is the National Speed Mooting competition, and once again, if you want to sign up, head to our website, speedmooting.com, and you will also find it there on our events page.
That you will.
The 27th of September.
So 2 weeks later.
2 weeks later, we are over in Liverpool.
Yeah.
Bit closer to home for us.
Tab.
And this is the biggest event we run.
Yeah.
We ran it for the first time last year. It was huge. We're bringing it back even bigger this year. And this is the Northern Pupillage Fair.
Yeah.
So if you're listening and you don't know what a pupillage fair is, it's essentially very similar to a jobs fair if you've ever been to anything like that, or a law fair if you're at university. You'll know your university will usually put one on or direct you to some. But this is a law fair on a huge scale.
Yeah.
So as the name would indicate, it's focused on pupillage opportunities. Not limited to them though.
No.
So last year we had people that were attending, and it's completely free for you to attend, by the way, from A-levels right up to people, you know, who have graduated and are actively looking for pupillage. And what we found was a lot of our A-level students and even law students, to be fair, don't fully know whether they want to be a barrister or a solicitor yet. It was certainly something that I didn't decide right away. So as well as having chambers in attendance to give people advice about pupillage, we also opened it up to people like law firms that give you advocacy experience, and we're doing that again this year.
Yeah.
Because you never know, you know, your passion may lie in advocacy, but in this day and age, that doesn't mean that the bar is the only option for you. Far from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to have lots of chambers in attendance for you, law firms as well, and other legal organisations that can help you, or you can help them and build your own CV. So we have things like the Citizens Advice Bureau. They're always looking for volunteers. We're going to have the Legal Action Group are back with us, so they're an access to justice charity. They're really big, and there's lots of work that students can do with them. So yeah, it should be a super, super valuable day for you all, and we are knee deep in our preparations for that event right now.
We are indeed, aren't we?
We are.
It's just crazy how many, because we're just getting many, many more exhibitors signing up all the time. I had to add another 5 to the website yesterday or the day before.
And we never want to say, oh, it's too late now, we've got to stop, because every time someone gets in touch, we're like, yeah, of course, we can squeeze you in. And then we're like, okay, one more to add to the brochure, one more to add to the website, one more.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will keep the opportunity open for exhibitors for as long as we possibly can.
Yeah.
every exhibitor is super valuable. They all bring something different to the table, don't they? So,
They do.
yeah, if you're listening and you are an aspiring barrister, an aspiring lawyer, still trying to figure out what you want to do, looking for pupillage opportunities, looking for legal opportunities in general, then come along Saturday the 27th of September. It's in the Liverpool Liner Hotel, which is right next door to Liverpool Lime Street. So you can come from anywhere.
From anywhere at all. And if you're going to drive, there's a car park right next door. It's £5 to park all day.
Yeah.
So it's super cheap. So nice and accessible.
Indeed.
This video is brought to you by Speed Mooting. We are an organisation that help aspiring and junior lawyers. We run online and in-person advocacy and mooting competitions. We do online advocacy and public speaking training, and we run lots of other events to assist people on their legal journey. To learn more, visit our website, speedmooting.com.
But do you want to tell people why we set this up, John?
Well, yeah, exactly. So when I was, looking for pupillage, looking to join the bar, the only pupillage fairs that existed were in London. And they're great fairs, don't get me wrong, we exhibit at the London Pupillage Fair. However, if you're coming from outside of London, it's massively expensive. I was a paralegal making not much money. And even back then, you could get train tickets for £50. But £50 was still a big chunk of my not very big disposable income that I had. So, it was, it's not just £50, it's everything else that goes with it, getting down to London. It's a big commitment to get down there.
Yeah.
Now, you've got no
Hundreds.
chance. You've got no chance getting a train ticket to London for £50. If you were in a position like me where you work and you don't make much money, or if you're a student,
Yeah.
you've got absolutely no chance whatsoever. So we thought, well, do you know what? Let's do something up north. Let's do something in the regions that people can attend. And, it's not just local Liverpool chambers, Liverpool firms that are there. We've got people from all over the country. We've got chambers from London, the Midlands,
Yeah.
Northern Circuit. We've got organisations from all over the country as well. So you're getting access and exposure to people from all over the country. It's just we're in the regions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a brilliant day. Considering this is only our second pupillage fair, it's massive already, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is absolutely massive. And, we've got the run at the whole hotel as well. Massive amount of space. Going to be loads of goodies, refreshments provided. So, yeah, it's going to be a brilliant day, isn't it?
Indeed. And once again, you've guessed it. Where'd you go to register for this event? Speedmooting.com and take a look at our events page.
Yeah. So there's lots on there. Keep an eye on it. And as Hayley's always saying, join the community hub. That's how you're going to find out about all of our events.
Yep. hub.speedmooting.com.
Indeed.
So, they are our events that are coming up over the next few months. We also have our monthly Advocacy Club. So, for anyone who doesn't know what this is, we are a friendly, inclusive club that meets online twice a month. The second to last Tuesday of every month is Public Speaking and Debating Club, and the last Tuesday of every month is the Legal Advocacy Club. You can join one club, you can join both. Most people do join both because it's our most valued membership.
Oh, yeah.
And both clubs complement each other very, very well. We have members of the club that range again from A-level students all the way to practicing barristers and solicitors who just want to brush up on their advocacy skills and practice in a really friendly environment. So no competition involved in the Advocacy Club. It's just the place to learn and connect with others.
Yeah.
Like yourself.
It's amazing, isn't it, how quickly people say they come on at the Advocacy Club. You get people who join, they'll just observe for a few sessions, completely nervous. And within time, go, do you know what? This is actually really low pressure. Let's have a go. And, people are picking up the skills and getting really confident in no time whatsoever. And the number of times that we get feedback saying, oh, I had to do an advocacy exercise and a pupillage interview and I got it. Thank you very much for your help. And it's amazing getting great feedback like that, isn't it?
Yeah, we've had a few testimonials very recently of people saying, giving feedback about their first ever session, about how nervous they were and they weren't planning to have a go, but they ended up with a really friendly group. So they thought, yeah, let's have a go. And they're really glad they did. And it's so enjoyable. And the feedback you get is amazing and really valuable. So if you're not a member yet, we would absolutely recommend it. It's really going to bring on your advocacy and public speaking skills, which, you know, whichever area of law you're interested in, are going to help you leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
And it looks great on your CV.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're applying for those training contracts, when you're applying for those pupillages, when you can say, I have been a member of the Advocacy Club for this long and I've practiced submissions advocacy, I've practiced trial advocacy, I'm an expert now in presentations and speech delivery, etc., etc. It looks great, and it's something that could come up in interview that you can talk about. So
Yeah.
pluses all around.
Absolutely.
So do you want to tell people what we've been doing in Advocacy Club this month, John?
Yeah, so earlier this week we had the public speaking session. So members had the chance to perform a speech, a prepared speech on anything they wanted. So, you know, it can be legal, it can be non-legal. Those speeches are up to 6 minutes, and then people share peer-to-peer feedback with each other. And then at the end of the session, we played a bit of a game whereby I gave some impromptu topics, and certain members, you know, if they were feeling brave, could put the hand up, take a topic at random, they'd have a couple of seconds to think about it, and then deliver a speech on that topic. So we had some interesting topics, for example, you know, first impressions, keeping cool, and everyone did really well, didn't they?
Everyone always surprises me on that part, because it's one of the hardest skills to learn, and I think really the only way by learning it is to practice.
Yeah.
Speaking off the cuff, speaking without any notice is really difficult to do, and it's one of the most nerve-wracking forms of public speaking as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's very similar to mooting as well. So when people do mooting with us, they say the thing that makes them the most nervous is the judicial intervention, because that's a very similar skill.
Yeah.
You don't know in advance what the judge is going to ask you, and you've got to react and know what to say and how to answer them. So
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
it's a hard skill, but whenever we play that game in the Advocacy Club, people rise to the challenge like really, really well.
Yeah. they do
So
that.
yeah, we had some really great impromptu speeches. It was a fun session.
And then next week, we've got the second out of 3 sessions about the criminal trial. They're all completely independent sessions, so, you know, if you miss one, miss 2, it doesn't really matter. But the nice thing is it's a criminal trial following itself through. So last month we did the opening speech. This month it's witness handling.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where members get to do the examination in chief. So that's where you're questioning your own witness at trial, and then cross-examination, where you put in questions to the other side's witnesses and try to undermine their story, basically. So it's all about an assault by beating trial, isn't it?
Yep.
We've got a factual defence. It didn't happen. And so we've got 2 prosecution witnesses and 1 defence witness. So it's going to be very interesting. This one should be fun.
It is. I love the witness handling one, because it just is really fun to do. I mean, John and I have had a go in the past just because it's fun to do. I've played some witnesses. Have you played lawyers in the past?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, we've definitely taken part. We used to just host, but we have taken part in this one because we do really enjoy it. And I think the skills that you pick up in witness handling can transfer so easily to any other area of law, really. So even though this is a criminal trial, witness handling is something you have to do all the time. If you're a family lawyer, if you're a civil lawyer, if you're an employment lawyer, there can be lots of skills that come from witness handling that you'll use. So it's really transferable. It's a really good one.
And the reason we do it as a criminal trial is because witness handling is done most thoroughly, if I put it that way. I don't mean that in a demeaning way to any other area of law. It's just the way I'm phrasing this, but most thoroughly, if I put it that way, in crime. Because taking evidence in chief, for example, so, you know, you have a witness who's got their witness statement, or, you know, if it's defendant proof of evidence, and as the barrister, you're having to ask questions for them to give their evidence in chief live. In this box, they'll have their statement in front of them. As the advocate, you would say, can you confirm your name? Is this your statement? Did you sign it on that date? Is that your signature there? Are you happy with the content of that? and leave it there. Unless there's anything supplementary you want that witness to say that's not in the statement.
Yeah.
You'd say, all right, fine. And the statement stands as their evidence in chief, and then you go straight into cross-examination. Whereas in crime, we don't do it that way. The statement doesn't go in as evidence in chief. So when the witness goes in the box, they've got nothing with them, no notes, no witness statement or anything like that. Police officers are different. They might have a police notebook or something, but as a general rule, your witness doesn't have anything there. And you've got to ask them really open questions to get them to say everything or the crucial parts that were within that witness statement.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean about it's conducted more thoroughly in crime, because you've got to go through and you've got to elicit all of the evidence from the witness. And that's why, as you say, with it being transferable, if you've done that skill and had to get everything out of the witness anyway,
Yes.
if you're then moving to another area where it's, well, is that your statement? Or you have, it's much easier.
It's going to be a doddle.
Yeah. And then likewise with, your cross-examination, within crime, you're thinking about things such as bad character, does it go in? Can I cross-examine on that? They might not be concerns in other areas of law where you're cross-examining someone on how a contract was drafted or, anything like that. So, I think there's more moving parts in crime. So that when you come to do cross-examination and evidence in chief in other areas of law, if you've covered it in crime, you could certainly do it there.
There we go.
And once again, that's not to undermine any other areas, because I think
we got it.
Witness handling is just as, particularly cross-examination is just as difficult in crime as it is in any other area. But the point I'm making is if you can do it in crime, as long as you know the law, you can do it anywhere. So
how do people join the Advocacy Club, John?
Good question, Hayley. If you visit speedmooting.com/advocacy-club, takes you directly to the page. Even if you don't remember the rest of that link, just go to speedmooting.com. There's enough links on there.
You will not miss it.
You will not miss it. It's very well signposted.
It certainly is.
All the details are on there. The full schedule's on there because, we meet every single month and we're not just about crime. We cover civil, family, commercial, mooting, the lot. It's all on there.
Yep.
Of course, public speaking and debating as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want to improve your advocacy, if you want to practice in a low-pressure environment, join the Advocacy Club.
Join the club. So, as John mentioned, we had public speaking earlier this week. And how it works is once members have practiced the form of advocacy, so this week it was public speaking, John also delivers a talk, gives people guidance, hints and tips about that form of advocacy. So this week was all about effective public speaking. John's full video advice was recorded and will go on our YouTube channel at some point in the future. At some point in the future when I get through all the video editing that I've got piling up. But we also get a lot of questions during that segment of the evening. And we always say we will share those answers with our listeners on this podcast.
Okay.
So let's jump in to Ask Speed Squad.
Let's do it.
Do you want to explain what Ask Speed Squad is while I get up these questions, John?
Ask Speed Squad. This is your opportunity to put questions to Hayley and myself. So this is your opportunity to put questions to Hayley and I. So we will answer your questions on pretty much anything. Try to keep them relevant to law, but even if they're not, within reason, we'll answer questions on anything, whether it's podcasting, whether it's a wedding, whether it's Formula One. We'll answer your questions.
John would love a Formula One question.
Wouldn't that be brilliant? Please ask a Formula One question.
Go on.
So as I say, throw your questions in. You can email us, info@speedmooting.com. Direct messages. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, wherever. Drop a comment on one of our videos. Drop a comment on one of our posts. Put a question in the community hub. Wherever you put the question, we'll find it, we'll answer it.
Indeed.
Try and make it as easy as possible for us to find them.
Yeah. Okay, so these are questions, as I say, that came from Tuesday's session.
Okay.
First one. Silly question, but how do you practice? I feel silly talking out loud, especially when I'm wandering around my house and I've got 5 kids looking at me very strangely.
Yeah. It's a legitimate question, and it's one that, everyone feels exactly the same. Whenever you've got any form of speech or presentation to practice, when you've got other people in the house, family members, friends, whoever, it just feels weird speaking out loud. I think what you need to do is sort of get past that. And it can be as simple as just saying to people, listen, I'm going to be practicing my speech. So if you hear me sounding weird, that's why. Put people on notice, so that way it takes a bit of the weirdness away. And ultimately, if it's your family, if it's your friends, whoever's in your house, they're not going to be, well, they might take the mickey, but not.
No, I often hear you practicing a
Yeah.
speech upstairs, and that's probably another good tip. If you feel a bit self-conscious in front of all your friends and family, go find a little spot by yourself to practice.
This was going to be my next point. So find somewhere, so whether it's the bedroom, just a room that's as far away from where everyone else is in the house. Lock the door and go in and practice. People are still going to hear part of what you say, but if you've told them what you're doing, that takes a bit of the weirdness away. And then you can always, once you've practiced a few times, run it past, someone in the house. So I do that with you, don't I, Hayley?
Oh, yeah.
When I've got a big presentation to give, I'll go, listen, do you want to have a listen to this and see what you think about it? So, yeah, so there's nothing wrong with that. Once you've practiced a few times, it's starting to come out well. Practice in front of people in the house, you'll get some direct feedback on, A, whether the content is any good, and B, hopefully, whether there's any way that you can improve the actual presentation side of things as well. So in short, the answer is yeah, that's just the nature of the beast. It's always going to be awkward. It's always going to be weird. You just got to sort of get past that.
Yeah. Maybe the kids will love listening to a speech out loud.
They might be really into it. You might inspire them.
Okay, next question. In impromptu scenarios, how can you train yourself to not stutter or stumble over your words? If someone is overly reliant on fleshed out scripts, how can you come better at speaking on the spot without preparation?
Good question.
I think I know what you're going to say.
It's practice, isn't it? So the what we did the other day in the Advocacy Club, so where we were talking about, you were given a topic off the cuff and you have to speak on it. Practice that at home. So, you could say to someone, write a load of phrases down and give them to me and I'll practice, or you can do them yourself and then, come back to it a day later and just practice speaking about that thing. Now, if you're used to doing some form of public speaking, even if it is, heavily reliant on scripts, you're going to understand to a point, the structure and things like that. So you'll know how to structure a speech. And whenever you are going to give an answer off the cuff, whether it's, an answer to a question in judicial intervention, whether it's in court in mooting, whether it's, an answer to a question in a tutorial, get used to structuring your answers, even if it's a 90-second quote unquote speech that you're giving. Try and still have a bit of a structure to it.
Mm-hmm.
You might say, well, I've got 2 points to make on this. Firstly, secondly, and then. So in reality, my answer. So there's a bit of a structure there to what you've said, even though it's an off the cuff answer.
Yeah.
So you get used to that. In terms of the stuttering, when you start speaking and doing lots of presentations, speaking slowly is the key.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking slowly is massively important. A, it makes you appear confident. B, it makes it easier for people to follow what you're saying. And C, it actually, to an extent, prevents you stuttering because you're not trying to get your words out too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You're a lot more controlled in what you're doing. And you're in charge of the pace there.
Yeah.
So as you're speaking much more slowly, you appear more confident, and it reduces that risk of you tripping up over your words.
Yeah. And if it does happen and you do stutter or stumble, you're doing it in a real slow way that you'll pick up on it right away. So if you're speaking really fast and you go, it's hard to stop yourself.
Yeah.
Where if you're just speaking really fast, you see, you can hear it and you can just instantly correct it.
Yeah.
And even for someone in the audience, if they hear someone stumble like that, it doesn't really impact them because it's instantly been corrected and you've just carried on with a really nice speech, with a really nice pace. So it doesn't affect you because it hasn't stopped the speech at all. It's just you pause for a tiny second and you just continue, which is fine.
And I think also as well, particularly when you're giving, an off-the-cuff speech, and it could be, the classic example for lawyers is, or particularly those that do advocacy, is judicial intervention. And you can always sort of pause mid-sentence, as you're thinking about the next point, you might say, so, the way it's dealt with is this, and And you're after the and, you can always, or I'm using and as the example
sorry.
because you might be going to say one point and then another point. You can always pause and, just sort of look up as it's obvious that you're thinking, and there's nothing wrong with being quiet for a few seconds. You'll see it all the time in court. I do it, other advocates do it. So there's nothing wrong with just having that sort of pause there for a couple of seconds while you're thinking and then moving on to the next point.
Yeah.
And once again, by being slow, by having that deliberate pause, it reduces the risk of the stumbling and the stuttering.
Yeah. How do you manage to get your pace right? When I practice myself, I often think I'm speaking a lot slower than I actually am. And I always notice a barrister because of how great their pace is.
Yeah. So, I've touched on it there. Pace is crucial. A slow pace shows that you're in control, shows you're in command, and makes you easy to follow. When someone speaks too quickly, A, they appear flustered, and B, it's hard to keep up with what they're saying. So I always say that a good pace is 100 to 120 words per minute. So the classic way to practice this is, when you're practicing, let's say you've got a speech that you've typed out, for example, and you're going to be either saying it word for word or, giving something broadly similar to what you've typed out. If you know that you want to deliver the speech in 10 minutes, well, that speech would be somewhere from 1,000 to 1,200 words. And what you want to do is practice it and time it. So let's say you do the speech and you deliver that speech. Let's say it's 1,000 words and you deliver the speech in 10 minutes. Well, you know that you're on point.
Yeah.
Likewise, if you deliver that speech in 7 or 8 minutes, well, you know that you're speaking far too quickly. And equally, if you delivered it in 18 minutes, then you're speaking, the snail's pace. So that's the good way to practice. Know roughly how many words are in your presentation. Practice it and time it, and see if you get yourself into that point of being, 100 to 120 words per minute. So that's exactly how you practice, and you get that sort of timing. And it just, it's one of those. The more you do it, the more you'll know what the correct pace is, because you'll get to the point whereby you've practiced it so many times.
Yeah.
And you'll know, okay, this is roughly the pace I was speaking when I practiced that one. And it just becomes second nature to you to speak at that pace.
Yeah. I think a good trick is just consciously slow down, and even slower than you think you need to. Slow down even more.
Yeah.
When we speak conversationally, we do tend to speed up, particularly John and I, we're scousers. So when we get carried away, we get animated or excited, we will just go faster and faster and faster. So we constantly have to say to ourselves, slow down.
Yeah.
And even I might be listening to my own voice now thinking that is far too slow. But when you listen to it back, which we do when we edit and release these podcasts, you always think, gosh, I could have probably gone even slower. So it's always slower than you think is always about right. Yeah. There we go, guys. That is the end of our Ask Speed Squad segment. And I think a good place to end the podcast, John.
I think so, yeah. I think so. That was a good little episode. Dan, we had some good questions, spoke all about what we've got coming up at Speed Mooting. So, yeah, I'm happy with that. If you're still listening at this point, drop us a comment down below. And this week, the comment will be...
Slips, trips and falls?
Slips, trips and falls, yeah. Slips, trips and falls.
Yeah.
I like that one. So, so comment that. Hayley, have you enjoyed recording it?
I've enjoyed recording it, John.
I've enjoyed recording this one too. We hope you've enjoyed listening. And
if you have enjoyed listening,
do us a few things. Give us a like, subscribe or follow, depending on where you're listening / watching. Rate the show if you can as well. That really goes a long way for us as well. It takes a few seconds, but just helps us. We've got a few special guest episodes coming up, haven't we? So we've got a few more that we're recording over the next few weeks. And we've got 1 or 2 to finish editing for the release. So we've got some really good conversations with council coming soon.
Yes.
So keep an eye / ear out for those.
Indeed.
And that just leaves us to say see you later, and we'll see you on episode 70. If you have any ideas who episode 70 could be named after, drop it below.
On that note, cheerio, guys.
Cheerio. Bye bye.